Hello and welcome to the Tennessee Strong Families Grant Program Workshop on Writing an Effective Grant Proposal. My name is Brooke Blair and I am the Teaching and Learning Training Specialist for the Tennessee Strong Families Grant in the SWORPS office. My role is primarily to coordinate trainings and micro-learning sessions for Tennessee Strong Families applicants and grantees on various topics and needs throughout the life of the grant. This training was developed by our very own Darl Chansuthep, who has served as the director of the University of Tennessee's Social Work Office of Research and Public Service, or SWORPS as you may have heard it, since September of 2022. Prior to that, she served for many years as the director of a community-based nonprofit serving multiple counties, mostly in rural West Tennessee. Darl has written her fair share of grants, and we will glean some valuable information from her expertise today. SWORPS serves as the training and technical assistance provider for the Tennessee Strong Families Grant Program, which is administered by the Family Advocacy Unit of the Tennessee Department of Finance and Administration. This is the first in a series of workshops that we'll be offering for applicants and grantees. Notifications of future workshops will be available on the Tennessee Strong Families Grant Program website. In addition, we monitor and respond to questions and requests for assistance that are sent to our email inbox at strongfamilies@utk.edu. Unfortunately, while we don't have the resources to write your grant with you or for you or edit your grant proposal, we can and will answer specific questions you may have about any aspect of your proposal. We also have a help desk number that you can call with your questions. That number is 1-844-887-9677. Again, if you have questions that are specific to your agency or your application, I ask that you please put those in an email to us at strongfamilies@utk.edu so that we can provide a thoughtful and comprehensive response to your question. We try to get a response to you within 24 hours of your inquiry. Now, let's get back to grant writing. Grant writing is so much fun, said no one ever. Because it is true, fun is probably not the best word to use in conjunction with grant writing. Perhaps some better words are learning experience and critical thinking, because grant writing is indeed a learning experience. You will be asking yourself serious questions about what you do and how you do it and why you do it that way. Questions you may have never even considered before. Network and collaboration are also good words that you could use to describe grant writing, since applying for a grant can present new opportunities for building and strengthening professional networks and for collaboration. Team building is another phrase I'd use in conjunction with grant writing, since the task of grant writing often requires that the framework of the proposal be developed by an organizational team. And then, of course, economic benefit and community impact are also phrases I'd use to talk about grant writing. This is because the award of funding, which is an economic benefit to your organization and to your community, enables your organization to have an even greater impact on your community through the increase in funded services you're able to provide and the number of people you are able to serve. So, let's get to it. Today we're focusing on the three core components of a grant proposal. First, defining, describing, and supporting the statement of problem and need. Second, defining goals, objectives, and activities linked to the statement of problem and need. And third, creating the work plan with a timeline, input, output, and outcome. We won't be reviewing the budget today since a slide presentation on the budget is already available on the Tennessee Strong Families Grant Program website. If you haven't completed an intent to apply yet, there is also a brief training available on that and a few other topics that will be helpful to you in applying for these grant funds. Again, if you have any questions about any aspect of your application, including the intent to apply or the budget, please email them to us at strongfamilies@utk.edu. Now, let's go on to writing an effective problem and needs statement. When writing a problem and needs statement, it's important to use supporting evidence to clearly describe the nature and extent of the problem and/or need facing those who you plan to serve. An effective statement of problem or need illuminates the factors contributing to the problem or the circumstances creating the need, and it identifies current gaps in services or programs. It also provides a rationale for the implementation of specific evidence-informed or best practice interventions for addressing the problem with the population you seek to serve. Supporting evidence is what demonstrates that the problem is, in fact, a problem and not just your opinion. So how do we get supporting evidence? Well, there are two main ways with which I'm sure you're mostly familiar. We have primary data sources and secondary data sources. Primary data is data gathered directly from the source, that is, the population you serve or want to serve. This data is collected through surveys, interviews, questionnaires, focus groups, field observations, case studies, and participants' stories, among many other ways. Primary data is strong because it often provides more accurate, relevant, and specific information about the problem and need, but it can also be more costly, time-consuming, and difficult to collect and analyze than secondary data. Secondary data, on the other hand, refers to information that has been collected, processed, and published by someone else, and can include data from specific sources such as government publications, academic journals, various data sets, and online data, as well as clearinghouses for evidence-based programs. For your convenience, I've provided a few sources of secondary data and clearinghouses for evidence-based programs and practices relevant to maternal and child health. Please just keep in mind this is by no means an exhaustive list. There are many more. So once you've gathered all the data you can find about the problem or need you want to address, then what? Well, you analyze that data by reviewing it and asking questions that will help provide focus for the data, that will help you organize it into your statement of problem and need. I provided here some of the questions that you might ask about your data. What words or phrases stand out as compelling? Which points come up as the clearest? Which are new or profound? Where is more supporting data needed? And the list goes on. Your thoughtful, thorough answers to these questions will help you identify the root cause of the problem or need you'd like to address. When gathering and analyzing supporting evidence, I can't stress the importance of identifying and explaining the root cause of a problem or need strongly enough. A common error is presenting a problem and need from the perspective of, our community lacks something and therefore needs it. Whereas in the example on the slide, our community lacks maternal health care and thus is in desperate need of it. Or, more simply, we don't have it, so we need it. A statement like this provides no evidence or new information to support the conclusion that something is needed. The reader of this statement doesn't even know if there are individuals that would require, want, or benefit from the something, such as maternal health care, that the writer claims is needed by their community. When you examine the root cause of the need for maternal health care in XYZ County, you discover, among other things, that XYZ County is a maternal health desert with a high percentage of women in childbearing ages. This analysis of root cause could be continued with an examination of what a maternal health care desert is and what sorts of problems have arisen for pregnant or postpartum women who live in one, regardless of where they are in the U.S., as well as in XYZ County in particular, if that data is available. You could also look at impact of a maternal health care desert on the childbearing population by race, as well as other demographic features if those are available to you in the supporting evidence that you've gathered. In addition to stressing the importance of analyzing your supporting evidence to identify the root cause of the problem or need you'd like to address, I'd also like to take a brief moment to stress the importance of a couple other critical components of the grant writing process: community partnerships and evidence-based programs and best practices. First, a note on community partnerships. Community partnerships are important to grant proposals because they demonstrate a collaborative and cooperative approach to addressing common problems and goals. Just a few of the benefits of community partnerships in grant proposals include ensuring broader support from various stakeholders, including the funder, who value teamwork and shared vision, as well as maximizing resources by combining financial, technological, or human resources from different partners to enhance project implementation and also ensure sustainability. In this sense, community partnerships also help achieve economies of scale by reducing duplication of efforts and increasing efficiency and effectiveness. These partnerships can also serve as a catalyst for non-traditional funding sources by expanding the reach and impact of the project to new audiences and sectors. I know it often feels much easier and faster to just do your own thing when writing a grant, but I urge you to take the time when you do your data gathering and analysis to learn about what your community partners are already doing and to explore the ways in which you can partner with them. And then describe those opportunities as you conclude your statement of problem and need. Doing this can increase the credibility, quality, and success of your grant proposal and those of your partners. If time permits, you should also get a statement of support and collaboration to submit with your grant proposal. As you end your problem and needs statement, you will most likely introduce the approach you plan to use to address the problem you've analyzed, identified, and described. This is when you answer the question, how will you leverage your organization's strength to affect change? You will do this by selecting an evidence-based program or best practice that is effective, feasible, and appropriate for your target population and location that allows you to build on and enhance your organization's existing strengths. The EBP or best practice you select will also help you to avoid wasting time, money, and resources on interventions that are not proven to work or that may even cause harm. When you use an appropriate evidence-based program or best practice, you increase the likelihood that people you serve will achieve positive outcomes and an enhanced quality of life. And now it's time for purpose, the part of your proposal where you create goals and objectives and link them to your problem and need. And we have this guy who looks like he needs more coffee here as he tries to explain to funders how goals and objectives are linked to his problem and need. A purpose statement for a grant is a clear, concise, and specific summary of the main goal and objectives of the program for which you are seeking funding. You'll notice here that I've included the purpose and priorities provided in the solicitation for the Tennessee Strong Families Grant Program. I've done that because your purpose statement should also be grounded in the program purpose and priorities outlined in the solicitation. Those are important to keep in mind as they are the reason that the funding is there. The first part of your purpose is your program's goal. Writing a program goal for a grant is an important step in planning and implementing a project because it provides a broad statement of what you want to accomplish with the grant funding. You can have multiple goals depending on your project design, but each goal should be linked to the problem or need that you identified back in your proposal. and each should be aligned with the mission and vision of your organization and the purpose and priorities of your funder. A few tips for writing a program goal for your proposal, in addition to those provided in the abstract on the Tennessee Strong Families Grant Program website, may include: start with an action verb. Some examples of these may be improve, increase, reduce, provide, create, promote, etc. Specify who or what will benefit from your program and how they will benefit from your program. For example, you can mention the target population, the geographic area, the expected impact, etc. If possible, also align your goal with any larger community or organizational goals or initiatives that support your program. I've provided one possible example of a goal for you. In keeping with XYZ County's 5-year Healthy Families Initiative, promote the healthy development of expectant mothers, infants and toddlers, and their parents. Other examples of goals for your grant are provided in the abstract on the Tennessee Strong Families Grant Program website. Now that you've got your first goal, you need at least one program objective for that goal. A program objective is a statement of what you want to achieve. It breaks a specific program goal down into smaller, more manageable parts that outline what you plan to do in specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound terms. These may also be referred to as SMART goals or SMART terms. Some tips for writing strong objective statements include using action verbs and quantifiable indicators to make your objectives specific and measurable. Also, make sure your objectives are achievable and realistic given your resources, capacity, and timeline. Finally, set a deadline for each objective to make it time-bound and help you monitor your progress. An example objective may be this: educate at least 100 expectant mothers and parents of infants and toddlers per year in XYZ County on healthy brain development in children. Again, more examples of objectives are provided in the abstract on the Tennessee Strong Families Grant Program website. So now you have a goal and an objective, and you need an activity. A program activity is a specific action or task that you will carry out to achieve your project objective. For example, if your objective is to educate at least 100 expectant mothers and parents of infants and toddlers per year in XYZ County on healthy brain development, then one of your activities might be to hold interactive informational sessions at local libraries, early child care centers, and clinics. This is a simple, straightforward activity statement. And as with goals and objectives, examples of other similarly worded activities are provided in the abstract on the Tennessee Strong Families Grant Program website. For the more ambitious among you, if you'd like to include a bit more in your activity statement to make it even more specific, you might follow these steps. First, identify the resources, personnel, and time needed for each activity. For example, to hold those interactive informational sessions, you might need to hire a parent educator and develop some materials for them to teach. Second, you could describe how each activity will contribute to the achievement of the objective. For example, you might explain how providing interactive parent education and reading materials will promote healthy brain development in infants and toddlers. Third, you could list the expected outputs and outcomes of each activity. Outputs are the direct products or deliverables of the activity, such as the number of informational sessions conducted, or the number of materials that are distributed, or even the number of parents reached. Outcomes are the changes or benefits that result from the activity, such as an increase in the number of parents who understand and can apply the principles of healthy brain development. Continue to use the SMART criteria to make your activities specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Link your activities to the budget and evaluation sections of your proposal. For example, you might indicate how much each activity will cost and how you will monitor and assess its impact. An overachiever example of an activity that includes all of the above might look like this. Allocate 25% of project funds in years 1 through 3 to hire a parent educator who will conduct 4 interactive informational sessions per quarter for at least 5 parents of infants and toddlers and expectant mothers per session on healthy brain development concepts and strategies, and conduct a pre- and post-test to measure parent understanding of key concepts and skill in applying strategies learned to promote the healthy development of their children's brains. Once you've completed writing all of your program's goals, objectives, and activities, you're ready to create your timeline. And a template for doing that is provided in the scope for your project. A timeline helps you organize your proposal, meet deadlines, and track the progress and results of your project. At a minimum, your timeline should include the key activities that are necessary to implement the program successfully, the activities you've already listed under your objectives, the person or entity responsible for carrying out each activity. This can be an individual, a team, a partner organization, a contractor, etc. You should also specify their role and contribution to the project, and also the end dates for each activity. These can be expressed as a specific date, the end of a specific month, the end of a specific quarter, depending on the duration and level of detail in your project. Some activities may be ongoing throughout the grant period. Once you've completed your timeline, you're ready for your work plan or logic model, which serves as a roadmap showing the relationship between your program's goals, objectives, and activities, and your inputs, outputs, and intended outcomes. Program inputs and outputs are the data that a program receives and produces during its implementation period. Inputs include the resources, contributions, and investments that go into the program, and questions have been provided in your scope to help you identify these. Outputs are the activities, services, events, and products that reach the program's target population. Your scope also has a section that will help you identify these. Outcomes are the results or changes experienced by the target population that tie back to the program's goals and objectives. For example, in our Healthy Children, Parents, and Families program, one input could be the number of parent educators currently on staff, if any, or the number of staff certified to train Tennessee's Building Strong Brains curriculum. The output could be the number of training sessions offered or the number of parents who were trained. The short-term outcome, as measured in a pre- and post-test, could be the depth of the user's understanding of key healthy brain development concepts and level of skill in applying those concepts to the activities designed to promote healthy brain development, and a longer-term outcome might be enhanced child well-being. Generally, outcomes should be used to assess the effectiveness of the project and to determine if program goals are being met. The Family Advocacy Unit has identified a minimum of 4 core outcomes for all grantees. 1. Enhanced family and/or child well-being. 2. Increased knowledge about available perinatal services. 3. Increased accessibility to resources and services. And then finally, 4. Participant satisfaction with services received. The Family Advocacy Unit has also provided a template for the Client Outcome Survey that you can use to assess the extent to which those who you serve feel they have experienced these outcomes. We'll talk more about approaches for administering these surveys once you've submitted your application. Before we finish up, I'd like to spend a moment on data collection for tracking progress and reporting. To report on your progress in achieving your goals and objectives, you'll need to collect data on project activities, outputs, and outcomes. You should think about how you're doing this now. Will your current documentation and data collection methods be sufficient to meet the tracking and reporting needs for this project? Do you need to think about doing something different? The questions you see here are questions you must answer in your narrative for your scope of service. Because the type of data collection system you may need to use will depend on your project and your resources, I won't be covering this topic here. However, we will be holding future workshops on implementing and documenting services that will provide general best practice information. In the meantime, if you have any specific questions about this that you'd like to ask before submitting your application, please send them to strongfamilies@utk.edu. As we mentioned earlier, if you do have any follow-up questions from this workshop, we would be happy to assist you. If you would email us at strongfamilies@utk.edu, or you can call our help desk number, which is 1-844-887-9677. We also will be holding additional workshops for the Tennessee Strong Families Grant, and those will be announced on the program website. Please check back for more recorded trainings, slides, and other webinars on the Tennessee Strong Families Grant Program website frequently for our most updated training calendars. If there's any other support or assistance that SWORPS can provide you, we would love to hear from you and give you a thoughtful and meaningful response to your inquiry. Finally, our source is consulted, and we will close up. I hope you guys have a great day. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you.